Hey everyone. Oh my goodness, am I so glad to be back and be able to share a vlog with everybody. For a while there, YouTube I couldn't log into my YouTube account and I was like panicking and couldn't figure out what was going on. I was calling Google and having all these issues. So I'm really happy to finally be able to do a quick vlog and kind of update everybody on what's happening with us. So let me just jump right in because I don't want it to be a super long one, but we had a rough year last year. We ended up trying 3 transfers, 7 embryos altogether, and all of them ended up in a loss. It was really a rough year. We even did a full IVF back in April, and I ended up getting another 30 eggs, which ended up in another 6 embryos altogether that they ended up freezing. And we put back in 3, and I was pregnant, and then we lost them like pretty quickly after they took, and it was hard. It was a really devastating time for me, and that was our last chance as far as like insurance covering. They only give you 3 shots and then they kind of kick you to the curb. So which actually, is better than most places because most people don't even get that. So, I'm kind of thankful we at least had 3 tries, and we do have a lot of embryos that are still frozen. We still have 9 in the freezer. So we're hoping to figure out what that next step is going to be for us. We tried an IUI this summer, which ended up again in another loss. So it's just, my body is just not able to hold a pregnancy at all. Not even more than a week or 2 can I hold a pregnancy. So we're trying to figure out what's going on with that. My doctor suspects that I might have an issue with implantation, and she has me scheduled to do this biopsy, which has taken forever because my body's decided to go into menopausal mode again, and we're trying to get me down in my weight and other things to try and see if maybe that will help, because usually I've been fairly good about my cycles, and all of a sudden they've just gone crazy. So I'm like, great, of course, because now I want to try to have this other biopsy done. And basically what the biopsy will do is we send it off to this company. It's like $900 for us to pay out of pocket. It's not cheap, but it will tell whether or not my body is actually, 1, able to hold a pregnancy, if my lining is even suitable to hold a pregnancy. 2, it will tell whether or not we're off. Like if putting embryos back in on day 5 is the right day. Maybe they need to be putting them in on day 7 or day 8. Give my body just a little bit more time to build the lining, get it ready for a pregnancy. And so that might be the other situation. So they're looking at that, and then they look at a couple other things. The other issue I'm thinking that we might have is I probably will need to go on RoGram shots immediately. I don't think they can put off having me go on the RoGram shots until 23 weeks. I think they're going to have me immediately go on them. And the reason I think that is because I'm O negative, my husband's not. He's a positive blood type. So I suspect that my body is immediately attacking the embryos. That's why I'm not able to carry them past a week or so. I have a feeling that's what's happening. They're just going right after them, as if they're like a foreign substance in my body that it has to attack. And I think that's been part of the problem too. So we're hoping that that's like, the next one. It's been challenging because if they find out, that my lining just won't sustain a pregnancy, then we're kind of at a point where we're like, well, do we even bother? Because at this point it's $3,500 a pop. Every time we put an embryo back in, it's going to be $3,500. We've considered changing insurances for a year just to get 3 more tries. The problem with that is most insurance companies won't switch. Like, they're really jerky about taking new people. In fact, last year my only options were the one that I currently have and Evergreen, which nobody had ever heard of. And Evergreen at the time wasn't taking a lot of my doctors. Now they are, so I could utilize them this year since they are taking a lot of my doctors. However, my acupuncturist isn't covered by them, so that would be like $80 a pop, every time I go to acupuncture, which would not be fun. Especially when you're going weekly, so that's like a couple $100s a month that we'd be putting out in acupuncture. But it is like $200 cheaper than the insurance that I currently have on a monthly basis. So I guess what we're saving, I'm putting out in acupuncture, so I don't know if it's a wash, I guess, in the in the long run, but you know, we're trying really hard to find an option that might work for us, and so that's definitely one that we could switch insurance companies and maybe get 3 more tries out of it. I probably would do another full IVF just to be on the safe side, but I'm a little scared at this point because, you know, I don't want to get ovarian cancer because I'm pushing my ovaries too much, and at this point I might very well be pushing my ovaries a little too much, so I want to be more careful in that regard. And then of course there's you know, the fact that we're 43 at this point. You know, we're not young kids anymore. I'm not saying that that has a huge impact, because I know people obviously have had babies much later, and some of them naturally, not even with IVF. They've had babies in their 40s without even having IVF. So you know, it's not a case that my embryos aren't good. They are good. It's just me. It's my body just being jerky and not working with us. So, you know, it's kind of been hard dealing with all that. And I think at this point I'm kind of looking at the fact that what happens if they do tell us that we can't carry? You know, what is our next option? I mean, we have these embryos. You know, if I could afford it, I would have someone carry. I mean, we've had people offer to carry for us, but the problem is, even if they selflessly say, don't pay me, don't do anything, it's still $30,000. There's just, that's like bare minimum. It's like $30,000. You have to pay, you know, a lawyer to come forward and do all the, you know, that person who's carrying for us, and we both need to have separate lawyers, which is like several $1,000s just for that. And one lawyer has to write up the proposal, and then the other lawyer has to approve it. And then there's insurances that we have to pay. There's like several insurances that most people don't even think about. Like life insurance and health insurance and disability insurance, and those kind of things all have to be paid up front. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think, you know, surrogacy is a risk. You know, we could put all that money out, and then the next thing we know is our embryos don't take in this other person either. You know, so that's, you know, that's a risk. It's a risk that you take, and you know, we have 9, and, you know, what do? Do we like try 2 more times and then, you know, use the last 3 for, you know, somebody else to maybe surrogate for us in the long run? I don't know, but $30,000 is not cheap. It's not something that we just have lying around. I mean, we just don't really know what we're going to do with that. So it's a hard decision. And I feel like, you know what, I'm at a point now where I'm really angry with the way the government's handling things. They really should be helping women, 1, get fertility coverage, 2, get adoption coverage, and 3, surrogacy coverage. And I understand that anybody could just say, well, I want a surrogate, just because they don't want to carry a baby. Well, my thought is it should only be for, you know, you can only get coverage if you've gone through IVF several times and with no success, you've gone through other things and had no success, and then also whether or not you have a uterus. If you don't have a uterus, obviously you can't carry a baby. So, you know, or if you've had uterine cancer, and that's a situation too. So all those things need to be taken into account, and if then insurance companies deem it, then they should cover it. And I think it should be covered. I think everything should be covered. I think the lawyers should be paid for by the state and the government, not by people. And I'm sorry, I don't think people should be getting $40,000 or $50,000 to carry a baby. I'm sorry, that's disgusting. It just, to me, it's like, you know, there are so many wonderful women who've come forward to me and said, hey, I'll carry a baby for you. And they have not asked for 1 penny to do so. And I think that if there are people out there that are willing to do that, then why in the world are we paying somebody $30,000 or $40,000? To me, that's disgusting. Like, it's like asking someone at a kidney donation, well, what's my, you know, how much you're going to pay me for this kidney? You know what I mean? Like, you're saving someone's life and you're asking how much they're going to pay you for a kidney. You know, like, it's the same kind of thing. Like, you're donating a body part. You're donating your womb for 9 months so somebody else can, you know, we're paying for everything else, you know, around it. You know, the insurances and all that are all being covered. So, you know, and the worst part is like they want like thousands, like $50,000 or $60,000. I'm like, you know what? Think about this, ladies. You're carrying a baby for somebody else. You want more money than that person makes in a year? Like, I don't know that that's necessarily, yeah, I mean, I know compensation is something, and I could see somebody being compensated maybe like, you know, $5,000 to $10,000 for their troubles. I get that. I can understand that, because you are going through 9 months of carrying a baby or whatever. I could see a $5,000 to $10,000 compensation for that. but not 30, 40, 50,000. I mean, that's ridiculous. To me, that's just being greedy and a money-making scheme, and I don't think it's right, because you're preying on women who can't have children, and that's kind of disgusting. To me, it just really is kind of disgusting. But you know, what are you going to do? That's the way our country has set it up, and it's not very efficient or favorable to the women who can't have children. And here we are, you know, governments are rushing out to pay for abortions, and they'll all cover that kind of stuff, but they don't want to help women have babies, which is ridiculous. So I think we need to prioritize a little bit better in this country, and we're not doing that. And I hear that in a couple of different countries are having the same issues, where they're just not prioritizing the fact that women want to have children and are not getting any support from the government to help them. So that's kind of just, it's not right, not fair. But on a good note, we are getting ready to start our kitchen. We will probably have a new kitchen by Thanksgiving, which is like, oops, so exciting. We have our new stove and our new our new ovens and our new cooktop are sitting in our garage, you know, in our house. I mean, everything's pretty much in with the exception of the cabinets. We're just waiting on those to come, and then we'll break ground and have a party at our house to help us, because we're doing our own demo. I just can't see paying somebody else to destroy. Build, yes. Destroy, no. It really doesn't take a college degree to destroy a kitchen. It's not that hard. So I think it'll be a lot more fun for us to kind of do that as a group, and whoever wants to come over and help us trash our kitchen is welcome to come on over and help. And my husband's like, beer and pizza for everybody who comes and helps. So yeah, either beer and pizza or beer and subs. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll have like a really good meal afterwards, and just enjoy like knocking down the kitchen. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, I think. So that's like our big thing coming up with us. And my daycare's going great. I've got really good kids this year, and one assistant who's been with me a little while, and a new assistant who just started. So, you know, we're breaking everybody in. But it's been so far so good. So you know, everything else in our lives is going pretty smoothly. You know, Kevin's job is doing really well, and he's doing great with that. And we finally found bus transportation for him that's not taking him hours and hours in the morning. I mean, it's still like an hour and a half to 2 hours, but not nearly as bad as 3 hours that he was doing before. So that's good. So we've cut that down a little bit, but yeah, it's coming along. So we have a lot of good things going on. It's just, you know, trying to have that elusive child is like crazy. And I have so many friends who've been supportive, who are on groups with me, who have been like amazingly helpful and supporting me and helping me you know, feel strong going through all this. And I do feel better. I think this year has been a lot more calm. Even though I've lost so many babies this year, I think it was more like a, well, we'll make it through this. You know, it's kind of like I feel differently. I'm not as averted to, you know, hearing other people being pregnant and things like that. It's not as hard as it used to be. I guess maybe in some ways I'm coming to terms with the fact that, well, you know, we may be that couple that just doesn't have kids, and as devastating as that is on your soul and on your heart, you just sometimes have to understand that that's life. That's kind of what happens. And is it fair? No, it's not. It's not fair. You got drug addicts and crazy people out there having children, murdering their kids and beating them and doing all kinds of stuff to them. And there's people like us who just desperately want a child and can't have one. So life just isn't fair. It isn't. And there's no fairness to that. And you make yourself kind of crazy if you think about it. So you just don't think about it. You just kind of let yourself kind of think, well, this is what it is, and this is the plight that I've been given, and I just have to kind of work my way through it and hopefully come out in some kind of positive way on the other end. Well, so that's my little update for now, and hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll give you guys another update. But hope everybody's doing good, and I'm glad to be back. I am so excited to be back. You know, I missed my vlogs. So take care.